We're live,
makes
Liam.
people think it's like reverse. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, if you're just joining
Fake
us,
transparency.
You got a bit of the pre-show show. My name's Adam Henkel. I'm with the Makers Mob. This is the Samurai Carpenter, and then over on the far side, Liam Hoffman. We're here hanging out. Say hi, guys.
What's
Howdy.
up?
There we go. That's them saying hi. If you guys can hear us all, make sure you guys let us know in the chat. Some of you might be on the Makers Mob YouTube. Some of you might be on the Samurai Carpenter's YouTube. And then some of you might be on Liam Hoffman's YouTube channel. We're on all three channels
on my YouTube
right now.
Too, probably.
They might be. You never know, Liam. You never know.
Your channel's been blowing up, hasn't it? YouTube, that's your favorite platform, from what I've heard.
Well, you can rub him. You can bug him about YouTube, but he can definitely rib you about Instagram.
Oh yeah, he dominates. He dominates me on Instagram. That's like we're switched in that way.
I'm looking me up on YouTube.
I hate Instagram. Like my Instagram channel like grows so slowly and does nothing, and it's like the other way around for Liam.
Yeah.
No, mine stopped growing. It's Instagram's fault though. It's not my fault. I haven't changed anything.
The algorithm. It's always the algorithm.
I blame the algorithm. Just like I would blame all my tools if nothing turns out right.
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it, I guess. We're gonna just do a couple announcements here for anyone who's part of the Makers Mob, and if you want to get a little insight on what's going on inside the Makers Mob. And then we're gonna just chat with these guys about what they've got going on with Liam. We're going to be focusing more on the blacksmithing side of things for the Q&A. If you got any questions, pop them in the chat in a little bit. Don't put them in there yet because they'll probably get lost in the flow. So just to keep you up to date on some things going on inside the Makers Mob, we have some announcements. I love this guy.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. It's like my go-to announcements.
There's no sound effect though. It should have like the comp stuff. There you go.
There we go.
When did he get on Makers Mob?
Coming soon to the Makers Mob, we have a new maker.
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy.
To the Makers Mob.
But seriously, coming soon to the Makers Mob is the Kamiko Challenge with Neil Pask from Pask Makes. He is going to be teaching a course that's going to be a twofold course. It's going to be starting with making the Kamiko panels themselves. He's going to teach you how to make the jigs you need, how to prep the material, how to put the panels together, and then we're going to include a project to kind of bring it all together at the end of the challenge, and that is going to be in June. We're going to start that. So the sign up for that is ending on June the 13th at midnight. So you have until then to sign up. There is a link in the description to sign up for that. If you sign up for the Makers Mob, you're a member, you get access to that. So whether you're signing up to get Liam's stuff or you sign up for any of the other things, you're going to get access to that as well. Liam also, if you didn't know, has full tutorials inside the Makers Mob for these beauties. Liam, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so the axe making tutorial, that was actually the only axe making tutorial that exists from me, I believe. I've got stuff here and there on YouTube, but it's like bits and pieces of different parts of axe making, or if you pay attention really closely, maybe you can pick up stuff. But this is the only thing where it's a complete, fully disclosed process on making the axes. Everything from forging the steel, axe head, and the tools that you need to forge it, and different ways to forge it depending on your setup, to the woodworking side of things, making the handle and putting it all together. So tons of info on all about axe making in there. It's pretty much like all-inclusive axe tutorial.
And it's a bearded hatchet, which is like, it's extra sexy. It's not just like you're making some mediocre axe. It's like
just for you, Jesse.
It's got that like kind of Viking, European, sexy / North American classic Liam Hoffman style. It's
just
like
throw all the countries in there.
It's good.
Yeah.
So that is in there, as well as there's some other tool making tutorials that Liam's got in there. This particular tutorial is like 20 parts. It's almost 3 hours. It's super in depth. And you can do it as quickly or as slow as you want. There's also, we did actually some printouts of like, you can print out a couple pages and it's like a scaled printout for the actual, to be able to get the actual feel of what the size of this is. So that's in there as well. We've also got a bunch of tutorials. You get access to that. So there's a link below in the description. You get, you're going to get a deal on all this stuff. We got live replays for the members only lives that we do inside the Makers Mob. This one is open to the public. Next week, I'm actually going to be going live with Jimmy DiResta on his YouTube channel.
The man.
As well as the Makers Mob, the godfather of making on YouTube. We're going to be chatting next week, finding out what's going on with him. And then we got John Heise's putting out a small toolbox build that's going to have plans and everything available on the Makers Mob as well. So I think that's it. Oh no, one more thing.
Prizes.
Yes. So this is what we're giving away this month. There's a contest every month we do called the Project of the Month. You have until June 1st at midnight to put in your prize for this last month, and you can win these guys. I'm going to announce the winner of this contest when I'm live with Jimmy next Thursday on his channel. So if you're a member, you can still get your projects in to win this. That is it for announcements. Guys, what's going on? What's happening in your life? Who wants to start?
Well, I'm still waiting on Liam to send me a replacement handle for the one that I broke.
What? I don't remember this.
I said I broke the handle, and you're like, "Oh, we send out replacement handles." I was like, "Oh, that's great." I look forward to getting one, and that was like 7 months ago or something like that. It's all right. I know you're busy.
Well, just send us another email. I didn't even know you didn't get a handle.
No, I busted it when I took it camping. I was getting all ogre on some firewood, and I broke the handle, being a little too aggressive with the axe. And then I think I made a post on Instagram, and people were like, "Oh, Liam will send you a new one," and then you like kind of commented, you're like, "Oh yeah, we'll send you out a new handle." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." And then it's all right. It's all right. I'm not that important in your life.
So you invited me on here tonight on camera, live, to put me under pressure, to force my hand. Hold on.
Oh,
He's writing a memo. Jesse, he's writing a memo. All right, guys, that sums up this live. Thanks for joining us.
I know Liam loves it when people rib him and like
Samurai handle.
Use lots of sarcasm because that's like his favorite thing.
Liam, I'm gonna single you out now. Tell us what's happening down where you are as far as your day to day and what you got going on. But don't share too much.
No, he's all about transparency.
What do I don't even. There's like an incredible amount of things.
Pick one.
It's a revolving carousel in my head. The way my head works, it just want things. It's like it's constantly spinning, and then one pops up, and I get about 10 minutes of that, and then the next one comes up, and then I'm getting nothing done.
So tell me like where you're at as far as like business now, because obviously like you started out in your tiny little shed, like on your parents' property, and then you went on Forest and Fire, you became a superstar, and everything has changed since then. And last time I saw you, when you came up to visit me and do the Salt Spring Island course or whatever with Jerry and all the other hooligans out there, you had bought your shop space, and you were like setting up your shop that you're in now. And so where's your business at as far as like how many employees do you have, and like what is your kind of weekly system for getting stuff done, and how is it all working out for you?
Well, everything changes so fast around here right now. I think the last time I saw you was like, is that 2 years ago?
Yeah,
it's over 2 years now.
Yeah, it's
the
been
last time I saw you. Yeah, so I've just been buying tons of equipment. I just constantly upgrade things. Like I love blacksmithing, but another thing that I love is the process, like relentlessly changing the process and irritating everyone else in the shop at the same time. So if I figure out we can save such amount of time on a step or something, then I'll buy the machine for it. So our shop has been evolving like rapidly. We have so many new things now that we didn't have 6 months ago or a year ago, or especially 2 years ago. So just been upgrading machinery. Almost everything is all old machinery, like 1940s to 1980s mainly. There's some stuff older than that and some stuff newer than that, but I want to do everything in my own shop. I don't want to sub anything out. And in order to do that, you have to have good processes and the space and the machinery and jigs and all that stuff. So I love coming up with the processes and then designing the jigs and the tooling. And then we make the tooling in-house also. And then we test the tooling and the processes and all that stuff. And so axes are still our main primary thing. We're years out on axes. And we want to be coming out with knives in the next year, maybe. They're going to be forged to finish integral knives. So I don't know if you know what an integral knife is, but it has a steel bolster that is the same stock as the blade. It's not two separate pieces. So the tang, the bolster, and the blade is all one solid piece of steel, which is a common method of doing a high-end knife, not a production knife. So like a high-end knife, you'd see an integral knife and have an integral bolster and everything. And I don't know of anyone that does that production, mainly because of the equipment and the processes that it would take to be able to do it in-house. And we have all that now. So I'm currently in the process of designing the dies and the process to make that. So it'll be forged to finish. The bevels, the bolster, the tang, everything will be forged to finish. And then I'll just put the edge on it, and it'll have a solid wood hidden tang handle with an heirloom fit. So it'll look like a $2,000 knife, but I'm hoping to be able to make it in the same price range as like a stock removal knife. So that's like a huge project I've been in my head for a year and slowly making progress on. And I don't know, I'm probably just going to get off on lots of tangents here. We just finished hooking up a massive dust collection system. It's a 30 horsepower dust collector that's ducted all throughout the shop to Donaldson Turret DFT12 it's 12,500 CFM with a 18-foot cyclone behind the shop, and then the dust collector itself. And that's plumbed into the wood shop. And that is all in preparation for a brand new Bocce T4MO copy lathe that's coming from Italy right now. And that will do the axe handles. And so like my wood, another part of my business is the axe handles, just the handles.
Yeah.
And
Do you ship replacement handles, Liam?
Yeah, he stocks
no,
them too.
ask Jesse.
Okay.
No.
He doesn't ship them. He just stocks them. He just keeps tons and tons of piles of them in his shop.
Yeah,
He only lets 13 a week go out.
yeah, exactly. The scarcity is not real. So I have we were offering handles last fall, and then sort of shut everything down on the handles in order to take on this project, the woodshop expansion project. And that is, the lathe is supposed to arrive in like 4 weeks, and then it'll be game time. And this is a brand new 6-figure copy lathe. It's major. This thing will allow me to compete with big companies doing wholesale.
So how many does it do at a time? Because you already had a copy lathe.
Yeah, I've had two copy lathes.
I saw that work, and it does like 5 handles at a time or something. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the top one is a template, and then it cuts 4 just like it. This is the same setup, but it just has much newer technology on it to where it'll do it faster, more consistent, less prep work on our end. it essentially does the same thing, but it'll save us a lot of labor. And so we're going to be able to compete with, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of any of these companies, but like House Handle or Beaver Tooth Handle. There's like a handful of handle makers in the United States that sell like your typical hardware store quality handle, which is not quality. And so we'll be able to make really nice handles, but be able to compete with them wholesale wise because of this machine and this dust collection system and all that. So that has been a many multi-month long process that is still not done yet, but that's going to be done soon. And
how many people do you have working for you?
Right now, just 3.
Just 3. Okay.
Yeah. We're supposed to make 3 more hires this year. So when this lathe gets here, we're going to be hiring 3 more.
And that's pretty sweet. It's
Awesome.
like looking at that little shed that's like on your little axe booklets or whatever, and it's like going from that to where you're at now. That's quite a steep transition.
I know, it's so weird. Yeah, I never
How-
would have thought that any of that would happen.
I'm curious, Liam. I mean, you seem like a guy who is always working. Is this true? Are you you're working crazy hours nonstop all the time?
I don't know about that crazy. I used to work way crazier. I probably only work like
Only 100 hours a week.
now. No,
Crazy.
I probably only work like 65 hours a week right now.
Wow.
I definitely used to for like a good 4 years work, probably 80 plus.
Wow.
That was back when I was at the old shop. But
Wow.
now I don't.
He's either working, riding his bike, or he's out in the bush camping somewhere. Is that pretty accurate? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Awesome.
we've been doing it.
It's a beautiful, simple life.
Speaking about being out in the bush, Mr. Samurai Carpenter, we need to say congratulations on your official dream coming true. Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell a cryptic message about that?
No, yeah. I've announced it. I announced it on the YouTube channel for those of you guys who still watch this old dog. And you guys have seen me fixing up this old barge to take materials out to my off-grid boat-in access property that I purchased. So we just closed on that yesterday. So it's like official. I own 5 acres on a beautiful lake up island. It's about 2.5 hours up the north from here. And yeah, I'm just trying to get all the logistics figured out for how I'm going to be getting everything out there, building docks and big like gang ramps to get up onto the property. It's kind of got a little bit of a kind of stone bluff, not very big, but I have to build a bunch of boardwalks and a ramp that goes to a floating dock where I can offload materials, and there's just all sorts of logistical stuff. So my head is kind of in the similar space of Liam's, where I'm just kind of trying to like organize and like figure out how I can efficiently, streamline building out there with no power and no road access. And so it's like, there's the wheels are turning kind of constantly as I'm just realizing that there's so much logistical stuff to like figure out. But once I have like a dock built, so I placed a timber order for just a ton of yellow cedar to build a dock, and I've got the floats and everything. And so I just have to transport my boat, my skiff, barge, whatever, which is like 27 feet long and 9 feet wide up island. And it's kind of like a windy road to get to the boat launch on the lake. And so I'm going to be just white knuckling it when that transport day comes, because I'm going to be taking the boat up, and I'm going to have like all the floats on the boat and like a big pile of wood too, because I kind of want to just launch the boat and have like as much material on it already as possible, because the trailer can handle a lot of weight. And so I was like, oh, let's just load the whole thing up. So it's also kind of risky because if I do have a mishap on the road or some kind of accident, there's going to be just severe carnage.
Sounds like you need a helicopter.
That would be nice, but I think they're like $100,000 an hour or something like that. So
buy one.
Yeah,
it'd be cheaper than all this stuff you're talking about.
Yeah. First project, build a helicopter pad.
Yeah, so it's like the hardest. I think like once the boat's in the water, I don't know if I'm ever going to take it out. I'll just like leave it at the property and use our other boat to kind of zip back and forth. So. Yeah, it's going to be quite a thing. So I'm hoping to, in a video or two, do the big reveal where, once we get the boat in the water, we'll get the drone going and, fly out there and show you the glory, because it is so beautiful, like just jaw-dropping, serene, majestic beauty. Just like I'm like still pinching myself like that I have this waterfront. The water is like so clean, you can see down like 30, 40 feet, and everybody just drinks the water right out of the lake. They just throw their pump lines right into the lake.
You get Giardia. I'm just gonna die laughing.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna filter it just to be safe.
Oh,
but,
come on! Everyone else does it. You just said it.
I was drinking when I went out there in my canoe. I literally was just like dipping my Nalgene bottle and like drinking right out of the lake, and I didn't get sick. So, I got a weird rash, but no.
Yeah. some other deformities.
Correlation is not causation. Don't know where that came from.
So yeah, I'm pretty stoked, but at the same time, I'm like, I was hoping to have a nice relaxing summer, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a lot of just backbreaking labor and all that fun stuff.
So I'm assuming that you're going to use my axes to fell the trees on the land.
Well, I was definitely going to take your axe up.
You don't have a handle though.
It doesn't have a handle, and be able to use it for clearing brush, taking down some small trees, So just FedEx that out there, 24-hour shipping.
Same day. So we're gonna get to some questions here. There's already a bunch of questions in the chat for Liam, a couple for Jesse. This is a good one. Why is Hoffman in prison?
Yeah, you guys are all in like nice. You guys look really relaxed. I'm like sweating. And I look like I'm in a cell in like Robben Island or something.
Yeah.
Like bleak cinder block walls. I like to make my shop look like a prison. It keeps everyone controlled. All my employees stay under control. And I lead by fear.
Yeah,
there you go.
You have a loudspeaker. It is now break time, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got loudspeakers, whips, whatever. I got attack dog. I got a giant attack dog.
Yeah,
actually.
you do.
Yeah, he walks around with his Doberman, checking on everybody's work.
Big Doberman, yeah. He keeps them in line.
To start off the questions here, I've got one. Jesse, think of something that you can ask Liam in a bit, and let's keep it regards to blacksmithing. But I have a question. Liam, have you ever done this?
Right in the nuts. Nope.
Do you know who that is?
It's Alec, isn't it?
Yeah. That's young Alec.
Time ago. Yeah, I thought everyone had already seen that video.
I'd never seen this.
Oh my god! That is. I love how he tries to just work through it, like, and then he like lifts it, like, I'm gonna take another swing, and he's like, no, you're not. You just nutted yourself. Oh man, I've never seen that.
I actually just today I was like, I gotta find something funny, and I was like, blacksmith fail, and that was the first thing that came up. And then after I watched it, I was like, I recognize that guy.
Yeah. How is that not like viral in the blacksmithing world? It probably is.
I think it was. That happened years ago, though.
Obviously, he looks like he's 11.
Which was 3 years ago, probably.
Hey, I think I'm only a year older than Alec.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're both young whippersnappers.
Young guys.
I'm getting pretty old now, though.
How old are you now?
Getting hardened. 24.
24. Wow.
So guys, I also got a surprise here. I got a member from the Makers Mob who wanted to ask you a question, and I'm going to pull him on screen with us here. It's for those watching. My name's Adam Henkel because the name tag says so, but I'm with the Makers Mob, and so this is just one of the things we're starting to do in these lives is we're pulling in members, giving them opportunity to ask some questions, kind of face to face. So Michael Hensgen is one of our members. So I'm going to pull you on, Michael. So make sure you're ready. Here we go. What's going on, Michael?
Hey guys, how's it going?
What? Pretty good.
Michael, shoot your question.
Not today.
What's your question there, Michael?
My question for Hoffman would be, if you want to start out, what considerations should I make for ventilation in like a small shop setting?
Depends how long you want to live.
Longer than tomorrow, I guess.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is. What'd you say?
Where is the best place to begin with ventilation to kind of get started? Something kind of affordable, but it's going to do the trick too.
Well, I think that the main things are evacuating the air that's in your shop and then circulating the air that's in your shop. If there's no airflow, then you're not moving anything out. So, like I said, I didn't say this already, but it kind of depends on your shop too. If you have like a dirt floor shop, you're not going to be able to put big fans in there. You're just going to blow the dirt up, and that's going to make it worse. If you have the type of shop where you can put fans in and ventilation in, then I would just get a drum fan, like a 3-foot diameter drum fan at the door that's blowing air out, and then you could get fans at the back of your shop up high that's blowing down. Depending on the type of work you do, if you don't want to do that, then you could have Jet makes these air filtration units that hang from the ceiling, and those just get very fine particles. If you've got a ton of contaminants moving through, those filters are going to get clogged too quickly. But you can set those up. I've got 5 of them in the room next to me in the shop, and we just keep them on. But this is in the machine room part of the shop. The forging part of the shop, we just use big fans everywhere, constant airflow, air movement to keep everything a little healthier.
And then you have like a grinding room that's kind of like a separate, and you have like isolated dust collection for all the metal particles. Because do you wear respirators still, or do you have good
most
dust
of the time? Yeah, but that's not realistic for a lot of shops. If you don't have the space, then everything's going to be mixed in, and the best thing you can do is wear a respirator most of the time if you're grinding. If you're forging, I don't get people that wear respirators when they're forging. I've seen people do it. I really don't understand that. But I would say just having healthy airflow through the building would be the most simple thing for keeping your air healthy. It just depends on how far you want to go.
I guess, Jesse, you kind of have a similar situation with, you have like air in and then just like 2 big fans blowing everything out, right?
Yeah, I took out like one of my big windows that the seal was gone on it anyways, and so I built like a frame and I put into like 20-inch fans with like cages or whatever on them, and they move about 2200 CFM or something like that. And so I can turn them on, and they have 2 different settings, like kind of half full speed and then half speed. So I just crack a window at the far end of my shop. And then I turn those fans on and keep the door closed, and it creates like a crazy draft, like you've seen in one of my videos where I talk about it. Like if you stand in front of the window, it's just like the wind is like getting, sucked in crazy fast because the fans really move. And like I'll take a leaf blower inside my shop like I did in the video, and like the whole shop just turns into this dust cloud, and it's like cleared out within like 2 minutes, right? So and I try to keep that going. Like if I'm working, I'll keep one of those fans on and the window open so that, when I'm using the router and it's kicking up a bunch of dust, it'll just kind of get pulled away instead of just like hanging in the air as I'm just like continually breathing it in. So it kind of, like Liam says, like you want to just keep the air moving out, which kind of creates like an outdoor atmosphere, but inside, right, where the air is just kind of naturally moving. Like the wind would, or the breeze would kind of just take all that crap if you were just working straight outside. And so that, like, it's made a huge difference. Whereas like I used to, like certain times of the day, like the sunlight would be coming through and you'd see like all the dust particles in the air. And I'm like, oh, that's what I'm breathing in. That's what the inside of my lungs look like. Whereas like now, like when the sun starts to go down and it shines through the window, like the air is like all clear because I keep that fan kind of going, right? It's the negative is that it sucks all the heat out of your shop in the wintertime. So I don't have like a recirculator kind of unit that filters the air but keeps it inside the shop. So it's in that sense it sucks. But I'm in a pretty moderate climate. We don't get super cold winters anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah.
You just don't want still air.
Yeah.
You just want airflow. There's tons of ways to do it.
Michael, is there anything you're thinking of making? And, you're saying you're a beginner, you're just starting out in blacksmithing. Is there something in particular that you're looking at building?
I always wanted to build a knife, actually. I just was never sure how to incorporate woodworking, and I mean more on the safety end of things. Like, how do I incorporate a woodworking shop with a little bit of a forging shop? Like, obviously it's combustibles in a woodworking shop. So that's been the part that's really kept me leery of doing the two. And I don't have, my shop's only 1,000 square feet. So I can't really start dividing things. It's like I already have enough room. So, cause I've got a full wood shop, but I would like something to do a little bit of forging. So that's the part maybe he can shed some light on how to incorporate both safely.
Yeah, like I have one wall in my shop where it's like that's my metalworking wall, and I made my benches all out of with Liam, and we welded them all up and made them out of angle iron and sheet steel and all that sort of stuff, and so that's kind of like the wall, like when you first enter my shop, and then I kind of have like a big assembly table, and then on the other side of my shop is where all my machines are with the dust collection and that sort of stuff. So it's not like there's no partition like separating it, and like all sorts of Karens on YouTube were just like, you're gonna burn your shop down, and just ripping me apart in the comments. And I'm like, well, I haven't burned my shop down yet, but you do have to take certain precautions. And like my kind of rule is if I'm doing any grinding in the shop, I stop grinding like at least a half an hour before I leave my shop or close it up for the night, because I was working at a camp one time and I was doing a bunch of grinding in the shop at the camp, and I kind of was like finished, and then I left, and the superintendent was like checking things before he went to bed, and he went into the shop and there was like a smoldering rag like right on the workbench where I'd been grinding. And the next day he kind of like took me aside and he was just like, hey, like you almost burnt the whole camp down. And he's like, let's not do any grinding, at least an hour or half hour before you leave the shop, because, you have a chance of like a little spark just landing on something and it's not going to catch on fire right away. But so yeah, I like have that rule. And then obviously just keeping things clean as possible, and like keep sweeping up, keep, not letting like sawdust, like, because sawdust will land on my workbench and stuff like that. And so I always have to like blow that all off and vacuum it up before I start doing any like forging or grinding and that sort of stuff. So pretty common sense stuff, but you'd be surprised how many people lack that nowadays.
Yeah, I would say that a fire is not going to start if there's nothing to start a fire. So, a spark landing on a solid board of wood is not going to catch the wood on fire. There's not enough heat from that spark, but a spark falling in a pile of sawdust could catch the sawdust on fire. So I'd just say that diligence with removing dust would be really all that's necessary to prevent a fire. Not having cluttered piles in corners. If everything is organized, and if your dust is removed before you start forging or grinding or whatever it is, a fire is not going to appear out of anywhere. You just have to think, how does a fire start? If you remove that, then there's no fire.
Awesome. Michael, thanks for joining us on here, coming on and asking the question. We're gonna send you on your way into the mysterious world of the interwebs.
Good luck, Michael.
Have a good night, Michael.
Good to see you, Michael.
All right, we got some questions in the chat here. Liam, this one is for you. Have you ever make a wrapped eye axe from 4140?
No. You would, if you were making a wrapped eye axe, the wrapping part would not be in a tool steel or high carbon steel or an alloyed steel. It would be a mild steel or a wrought iron. So if you're doing a wraparound, the whole point of a wraparound is to use a small amount of high carbon steel. So the strap that you wrap around would be 1018 mild steel or wrought iron, and then you would forge weld in the bit into the edge. It would just be it'd be harder to weld if it was solid 4140. It would be harder to forge, especially if you don't have power hammers or presses, and it would be more expensive. So I have done wraparound axes, but not using 4140. And
what would you use?
1018 for the wraparound part, which is mild steel, and then you could put 4140 in the edge. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably put like 1095, 1085, 1075 W1, something like that in the edge of the axe.
Why is that?
4140. Huh?
Why is that?
Why?
Why not 4140?
4140 doesn't weld as easily as those other simple carbon steels do.
Oh, okay.
And 4140, so 4140 is great if you're doing a solid steel axe because it's a great compromise. You can use it as a hammer on one side, you can use it as a blade on the other, and you get a Rockwell. My Rockwell is like 55, 56 for an axe. But if I were just doing the edge, I would use something that can get even harder and then temper it down. But I can't make a solid axe out of 1095. That'd be nuts. So if I were just using a little bit, I'd use a different steel.
Is 1095 really hard to work or what?
Or is it expensive?
Not with it'd be crazy expensive. And then I couldn't, it would be labor intensive to have a hardened pole because I'd have to temper it down so much.
Yeah.
Got another one here, Liam. How do you maintain the integrity of having a handmade axe while incorporating more and more equipment into your process? Do you draw the line somewhere? Where's the line, Liam?
Yeah.
The line is just made up. I love it when these people are like, "You're cheating." And I am thinking, "Show me the rule book."
That's a good answer, actually.
Yeah, it is. You do have to draw a line, though. I'm not saying I can just. I mean, I can make up whatever I want, but is that going to be good for my customers? Am I going to personally like be able to sleep at night knowing that I've done something like that? And I know where my personal line is, and it's actually not difficult for me to not pass that because I get this weird icky feeling inside where it would defeat the purpose of everything that I started and my products and my philosophy behind everything. And it would just be like totally short-termed sellout. So, I have, there are people who will look at me using a power hammer or a hydraulic press with dies in it or dies that I designed and made by hand or whatever. And they'll call that, mass production or factory made or whatever. And it's like, I've done everything that I've done. If if I wanted to be doing it like Gransfors Brooks or like someone else, I'd be doing it right now. There's nothing holding me back other than my choices.
Would you consider those axes still handmade, or would you say they're in a kind of a different, they do things?
I think the Gransfors Brooks axes are handmade. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, even though they have those giant, forging presses or whatever, where it's just like kind of move from one thing to the next, and but it's like there's still a lot of skill that goes into like keeping that right, and all the timing that goes into putting it out.
But I don't want to be doing it like them. What's the point in me doing it the same way that they do it? Then how am I different?
Yeah.
And then what's the difference between Gransfors Brooks and mine? It's all just the same. If you want to stand out, then you have to obviously do something different. So, as far as what is handmade and what isn't handmade, that's like more philosophy than it is a rule.
Yeah. So if we come to your shop in another 5 years and you have those like friggin' robot arms that are just like grabbing the steel out of the forge and like putting it in the press, and it's just like, well, I calibrated them with my movements. Right. So technically it's still a human motion, but it's still classified as that. Yeah. That's where you draw the line. Robots in your shop is where you draw the line for sure. No robots, right?
I mean, it can change. The line can budge a little bit, robotic employees. But no, the line is your own personal integrity. If you have a trouble keeping that line, then you've got a trouble with your own personal integrity.
And it's also I think quality is more like the governing body, where it's just like, are we compromising quality by integrating a new tool or a new system, right? And it's just like, obviously your motive is to improve quality, as well as obviously make enough axes to keep all the hungry Hoffman axe junkies out there happy, right?
Yeah. Well, there's am I going to be sacrificing quality by bringing in a bigger machine? And there's also, am I going to be sacrificing quality by not bringing in that machine? If you look at an axe that I make today, well, I guess depending on who looks at it, if they know what they're looking at, but my opinion, an axe that I make right now is way better than an axe that I made 2 years ago. Way better.
Yeah.
And it's because of all the processes that we've been killing ourselves designing and engineering and making. And I have made comments over the years, multiple times, that whenever this handmade, not handmade, topic comes up, and my response is always, my number one goal is to make the best axe that I can make. And I'm going to do that by any means possible, as long as it doesn't sacrifice my own integrity. So, if that means me buying a bigger power hammer or buying another machine or whatever, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Not only that, but it's like you also have business sense in the fact that there's a good amount of demand for your product. So, to not try and address that demand and try and meet it, or, at least bring your production up to a level where it's like, we're not compromising any quality, but we're creating twice as many or 4 times as many axes using these new processes, which is making twice as many customers happy. Like, you would be kind of a douche to not do that, like it's, like the purists, where it's like, I love it when you do your rants about people that kind of rib you about those sorts of things, because it's like, it's similar, where I don't get it nearly as much because I've always been a power tool and hand tool guy, but some people are like, oh, they've pulled the same thing where you're cheating or whatever because you use a router or whatever, and they're hand tool only woodworkers, where I'm like, good on you. Like, I prefer to be able to make 1,000 pieces in my lifetime as opposed to 10 pieces, because my time is also valuable to me. And so it's like, I'm going to use modern tools, because at the same time, I'm like, dude, if you had any great artist, any great blacksmith, you know, it's like if you were to bring Michelangelo into modern day and be
I'd
like,
be using a pneumatic.
he would be using a pneumatic tool. He'd be like, this is the shit. And he'd be going after it, angle grinders and diamond blades, right? And he'd be pumping out masterpieces like David every 2 months. And so it's just like, you know, for people to be like, oh
David's
no,
this week.
yeah, we're just gonna
Probably
keep
driving
the
like a
old
Rolls Royce.
hammer and chisel, and you know, I really love that carpal tunnel feeling, and you know, I'm gonna just keep going for it. So it's that sort of stuff where I'm just like, if that's your thing, well, by all means, man, if you get your Zen, you know, fix or whatever by using only hand tools, go right ahead. But I'm like, I love doing what I do, and I'm sure you obviously do as well. Like geeking out on the process and trying to be efficient is, you know, it's part of the whole thing, and it's very rewarding.
Well,
too,
the thing is that the bottom line is that people are going to make their own opinion of who you are, and they have no idea who I am. So I don't know where these people have got this thing. They're saying that like I've gone back on who I am, and like I'm not doing it the right way. And it's like, you know, you have no idea who I am at all. And I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing. And I'm fortunate enough to right now in the position to where I can. And people like that. And I think that with anyone who is doing something like this, you should do that. You shouldn't do what anyone else wants, because then you're not, you don't have the passion. And if you don't have the passion, you're not going to be able to put in the work that it requires to put in to make something successful. Yeah. Because you can't do the hours that's required if you don't love it. And you're not going to love it if you're pushing someone else's agenda. You're not authentic with yourself. You're telling yourself lies in your head about who you are based off of what other people think, which is a lie.
Hey, and at the end of the day, haters gonna hate and makers gonna make.
That's right.
It's just the way it is. There's a lot of haters out there. I love it because every time I run into a real ornery bugger in the comment section, and I'll click on their profile, just be like, oh, let's check out their channel, right? Because they're like hacking my videos and you know, like, oh, the audio, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, make a video. I'm like, I'm checking your profile. I don't see any. You haven't uploaded a single video to YouTube. I'm like, like I get that you got problems with me, but I'm like, if you're gonna, you know, bring me some criticism, like you should at least have some skin in the game, kind of a thing. Like, so it's like, you know, judge me, go ahead and judge me, but at least try to like walk a mile in my shoes first and like know what it's like to try and film and build and create something nice and edit and do all the things like I did when I was starting out. And it's just like, people just have no idea, right? It's like you said, like they don't know you. They don't, you know, you think Liam's, you know, sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais, you know, and it's like the dude.
I'm in a prison cell. Look behind me.
Yeah. The dude lives
in 2 weeks.
The dude lives in a prison.
Yeah. Well, all you can do is feel sorry for them.
Yeah, it's just like
if they're hating on you, it means they have hate about themselves.
And life is about evolving too. Like, you know, maybe, yeah, like if you want to just be that guy that just hammers away in your dirt floor shop and that's your thing, then go ahead. But you're never going to be able to make a successful business out of that model. It's not like it might be, yeah. Like if your goal is to just, you know, check your garden and live on a, you know, a little farm somewhere and you plug away at making tools and selling them at local flea markets or fairs or whatever, then it's like, go right ahead. But it's like, you can't judge a person because they were like, want to take something to the next level. It just seems like a little childish, you know, but.
Let's get on to some other questions here. Oh, sorry for cutting you off there. Let's get on a couple more questions here. We got, Liam, someone's asking, you were talking about putting out some axe handles in a year or so. Are you thinking hammer handles too?
Oh, yeah. All sorts
of
every handle imaginable.
He's giving more. How about any folders?
Ooh.
No.
Ooh.
Have you made a folder? I've never seen a Liam Hoffman folder. Oh, it's just not your jam.
Probably never will.
Another question for Liam. Any tips for turning a regular axe head into a hewing axe head?
That would be a mission because you would have to reforge. You'd have to reforge it, and like heat it, and then re-temper the whole thing. And at that point, it's like you might as well.
I
Just
mean,
buy
you
it.
can hew with an axe that's not offset. If you want to, I would say your best option to turn a regular axe into a hewing axe head would be just regrind the edge to a asymmetrical grind on one side. But you don't need. I wouldn't like attempt to offset the eye or do anything crazy like that. I would just try to regrind it, make it flat on one side and beveled on the other side to turn an old axe into a hewing axe.
Or you could re-handle it too. Like if it was an issue and you wanted an offset handle, you could just make an offset handle that still fits in the standard eye.
Yeah. I mean, you can make whatever you got work.
And for those of you who are in love with the romanticism of hewing, and I know there's a lot of people out there, just take a regular axe that you have and hew with it, and you'll quickly learn that you would probably rather use a sawmill. It's like all day to like square up like a couple sides of a log with an axe kind of a thing. So if you're doing that for like exercise and stuff like that, or you just enjoy the pure form of that kind of work, then go ahead. But so many people kind of geek out on this sort of stuff, and then they actually go get a hewing axe and try hewing a log, and they're like, okay, that took forever. And
that is backbreaking.
Can't walk the next day because you're like hunched over the log trying to chip away. But
if you guys, for those who are watching us here, if you guys have any more questions, put them in the chat now. If I didn't see them and we missed it, throw them in there again. We'll have time for maybe one or two more before we wrap this thing up. But before we do that, I want to mention again, if you're interested in learning how to build this beautiful axe here, Liam has full tutorials inside the Makers Mob. If you're a member of the Makers Mob, you get access to that. So you can click the link in the description. There's a deal for you on that. And then like we had mentioned before, we also have the Kamiko Challenge that's coming up with Pask Makes with Neil Paskin, which registration is closing June 13th at midnight. And if you're a member of the Makers Mob as well, you get access to that. So just wanted to remind you of that. Click the link in the description to sign up for that if you want to. We're going to get to last little bit of questions.
I will say, having taken an axe making course with Liam a couple years ago, it's a process, no doubt about it. It's a process, and it requires, like making some tools and, having a basic kind of setup. But once you actually have the drifts and, an anvil and a forge, or even access to it, it's like the process of making the axe. I was quite surprised at how kind of straightforward and like fun it was. Like we made the axe heads like, in a couple hours kind of a thing, like that one day. And I was thinking like, how the heck are we punching, holes through this thick of steel? And it was like, well, it actually went really quickly, especially having like Liam show you like, okay, well, you start with this one and then you move to a bigger one. And it was kind of like, and then you work as a team, and we had the other people, and it was just like, it was a really cool process. And overall, like the labor involved in making the axe once you have the tools was not like mind boggling like I thought it might be. Like I thought like this is going to take way more than a couple of days, but it was kind of like you work really hard for a couple of hours, right? And then a lot of the time consuming part is more like the heat treating and waiting, doing the whole tempering process and keeping it in the oven and that sort of stuff. So, as far as actual labor and investment and time into making an awesome tool, it wasn't that much, like we basically made the axes in one day and then kind of like finished them out and did the handles the next day. And I was just like, dude, that was awesome. Like to be able to make an axe in a weekend and have a lot of like fun time as well, hanging out with the people that we were working with. It was sweet. So, don't see making an axe as like this overwhelming project. It's actually not that difficult once you get into it.
Yeah, it's super easy, everyone. Super
Jesse, this is a question for you. As an accomplished woodworker, why does your axe not already have a new samurai handle?
I was gonna make my own handle, and I was like, oh, it's an opportunity. I could handle this axe head, but Liam kind of offered on Instagram, and so I was like, well, I didn't want to like kind of be like, screw your handles, I'll make my own.
I'm glad you didn't hurt my feelings like that, Jesse.
I was just trying to be courteous and like allow him the opportunity to send a replacement.
I failed. I failed on the opportunity.
Liam, do you need certain tools for your class, like an axe, eye, drift? Actually, you teach them. There's other tutorials where Liam teaches you how to make the tools necessary, right? You did a shear tutorial. You did what else did you do? You did a punch.
I did a type of a punch. I did a hot cutting shear and the axe. Is there another one?
There's another one. I can't remember what it is. It's a surprise tutorial.
Oh, the chain. The other one.
Oh, that was the flail. The flail. That's right.
The death flail.
Yeah.
For those of you into
making make a death flail,
medieval weaponry.
Yeah. I still haven't seen anyone post a picture in our group about them making that flail. But one day.
To answer this guy's question, yes, you need lots of tools to make an axe. You definitely need a drift, at least a couple drifts to make an axe. You need folders and set hammers and hot cuts and flatters. Those types of tools all help.
Do you recommend like making them all yourself, or because there are a lot of blacksmiths out there that like sell tongs and sell all the hardy tools and like cut it and that sort of stuff. And I've kind of been like, oh, like for my next project, like I should just start making all these tools, which is obviously a good learning experience. But if you want to like get to right onto the making, axes, it's like you can, support other blacksmiths that make the tongs, and they're pretty reasonably priced. A lot of people that sell tongs and like basic hammers and fullers and that sort of stuff, and you can just spend a couple $100 and buy the tools and then get right to axe making.
It depends on where you are in your making journey. If you are in business like I am, then I'm going to buy the tools to make what I need to, unless I can't buy the tools like drifts and of course all of the dies that we have are totally invented by us and made by us custom. The drifts especially are incredibly crucial to be able to make them the axes and the speed that we need to. But like tongs, screw tongs. I'm going to buy tongs. I'm not going to make my own tongs.
Yeah.
But if you started blacksmithing 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever, then I would absolutely recommend trying to make your own tools. But if you're further along, you're not going to gain any experience from it unless you just enjoy making them. Then make them. But
you made the drifts that we used at the workshop because you had tried to mail some and they didn't arrive, and so you were like, screw it, we're gonna make our own drifts. And you guys pounded out a couple of drifts in like a few hours. I remember.
Yeah, there's so many. It depends on what your goal is. Like it's easy to make one axe, make 100 of the same axe and do it profitably is a whole other ball game.
Yeah. And
it just is, which mindset are you thinking of? If I want to make one axe, then I don't need many tools. I'm not concerned about how long it takes. If I want to make 50 axes in that day, everything has to run smoothly like clockwork, where you will not get it done physically, mentally, or just with your time limit. The drifts have to be perfect. The tooling has to be perfect. If you have a snag, you'll never meet your goal. But that's a totally different. I don't want to. Some of the things I'm saying, I don't want people to take is like, oh, well, I have to have all this stuff, or it has to be just right to do this. No, I'm talking about making a lot of axes.
Yeah.
If you want to make one axe, it's not that crucial. It's not that critical. You'll learn just by doing it. It's just going to take a lot of trying. But no, I'm not trying to intimidate anyone with what you need to try to start out.
Chris Young asks, quick question. I have a Husqvarna Forester axe.
You need to buy an LH axe.
Can't keep
The only
it sharp.
suggestion.
You can't keep it sharp.
That's all I got to say.
Why?
Have you owned the axe from new? Because like a lot of times old people, like if you got an axe that's like used, some people, I saw people when they broke their axe handle, they threw their axe head in the fire to burn out the wood. And they're like, oh, it's the easiest way to get the remaining parts of wood. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, you just totally softened your whole axe head now, and it's not going to hold an edge, right? So yeah, there's some people that don't understand, the process of taking care of a steel tool that, is made to hold an edge, and a lot of people screw stuff up that way. So that, or it's just a cheap axe. But I don't know. I don't have any Husqvarna axes, so I can't.
I mean, there's so many things that we don't know about your situation with sharpening. A lot of sharpening is geometry, not just what grit you took it up to. You say that axe is 6 years old in your comments here. I'm reading, I'll talk about chef's knives for a second. They have to be extremely thin to cut vegetables. It doesn't matter if it's sharpened at 2000 grit and you can see yourself in the edge. It's not thin. It's not going to cut. And the proper way to sharpen most knives, especially chef's knives, is to not just sharpen the actual teeny tiny edge, but to sharpen the entire flat bevel of the knife, which is going to ruin the finish. It's going to make it ugly. But if you don't do that every time you sharpen, then you're bringing the edge of that up the spine, and a knife is a wedge. So the higher up you get, the thicker behind the edge becomes, and your knife becomes useless. So that might be what's happening with your axe, is your geometry is not right. Maybe you have it sharp, but it's not going to cut if the geometry is not right. You might have to come back further in the head and thin it down.
Or you've thinned it too much and it's too fine of an edge, and it's dulling because you have too fine of an edge.
Usually not the case with that. Usually people will just start making it. My gosh, this camera's opposite. You usually start making it just more and more obtuse of an angle, and the axe isn't going to cut.
We're gonna do two more questions. Here's one for you. Oh, sorry, Jesse. This isn't a This is a comment.
I don't think Liam has seen it. You would
inside joke.
You would appreciate it, Liam. You should.
Did you see my ninja video from like 2 days ago?
No, you should click Adam's though, because he basically just makes fun of me. The whole video is like a spoof of.
I made fun of the old samurai.
It was old samurai, and it's good. It's good for a laugh for sure.
You used to be quite a bit more. You put on the arrogant persona a little bit more. Yeah. You turned it up back in the day. So
well, you got to make a splash when you come onto the YouTube scene, right? So you gotta be that dancing monkey, and I've tried to tone it down, but
Eric says, "Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm late."
We're sorry too, Eric.
The last one. Let's pull up. Sorry if I miss you guys' questions. Let's just talk. Hey, Jason Hoffman. Is that your cousin?
Hey, Jason, good cousin of mine. No.
Is it hard to put together
a forge, and does it cost much? No.
I got my forge was off of eBay like 15 years ago, and it was about $300, and it just shipped.
Yeah, and he scammed me to make a table for it, a forge stand for it. Or for his anvil.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I still look at it and admire it. So yeah, no, like you can spend, a couple grand on a forge, or you could spend $400 or $500 and get like some guy that makes them out of old propane tanks in his backyard. They'll still work as long as they got a decent burner and you put some fuel in it. But yeah.
There's so many different ways to make forges. There's induction forges, propane forges, oil forges, charcoal forges, coal forges. When I first started, I used a just wood, charcoal, and put cinder blocks around the fire with holes in the sides and used an air dryer and just kept feeding it wood, and it will get really hot, and that costs you like nothing. And if you want to upgrade from that, you go to coal, and you really don't need anything other than a something to contain the fire, keep it condensed, and then an air source, and then your fuel, coal, charcoal. So no, it's really cheap.
And Liam has a book as well that shows you how to like do blacksmithing on the cheap, or starting out and making your own tools. So
yep, I tell you how to do it from nothing.
This is a question for you, Liam, on I believe it's to do with purchasing one of your axes.
For my axes.
What's the secret? What's the secret?
Right now.
You have to create your own algorithm that is just ready to buy the second it goes, and eventually the algorithm will just time it perfectly.
You need to hire like a computer engineer, first of all,
or outsource, to people in India and just have
hire 100 little kids in a foreign country.
Yeah, and they're
on the computer
clicking.
No, the
secret is there is no secret. Right?
It's like eBay back in the day where you had to like get in there before like the auction like ended and like put your bid in at like the last second kind of thing. And it's like it's muscle memory. It's a skill. It's like forging an axe. Buying an axe on Liam's website is also a skill set unto itself. Some people seem to have mastered it because they're always snagging axes, and then other people are just getting stumped.
I saw a post the other day where someone was going to sell their intellectual property on their tricks for getting an axe off their website, so you can take them up on that.
That's some entrepreneurialism.
People are making great businesses off of mine right now. But there's multiple ways to order one. You can get it on the website drops, which is every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and there's 10 available, and it's only the one model, and you have to beat everyone to the checkout. That's usually 5 seconds.
Liam's axes and acquiring one of his axes is similar to like Bitcoin. There's only so much of it. Nobody knows how to actually get the stuff. And it's just one of these things that it's like the more you just dive into that world, then eventually you'll get the skills. But you can't just be like, oh, I think I'm going to pick up a Liam Hoffman axe today. It's like, no, you gotta invest some time and learn the skills, talk to the right people, and eventually it'll happen for you. I'm glad that I just personally know Liam, and so I can just message him and be like, hey, can you just
not true, because apparently you asked for a handle. You asked for a handle, and I never even sent it to you.
I didn't want to bother you, but you did send me the axe with the handle, the original handle.
Well, I'm glad that it came with a handle, because that'd be weird if it didn't.
Yeah. So
you see that, Liam?
Yep.
What?
That
you don't make malls.
I don't know
have you ever made a mall?
Name was. No, it wasn't a mall. He probably just doesn't have the correct name for it.
Probably the farm axe, that gigantic mother.
Yeah, axes on the secondary go for 2-3+ times retail.
That's why I said it's like Bitcoin. The value's just going up. Like you never know. And I don't think even Elon Musk could get Liam Hoffman axes to go down in value.
I don't know. I feel like he could probably figure it out.
Okay, this is the last question we're going to take. Let's get your take on that, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Can I leave my anvil out in the weather, or will it ruin it?
Kind
of hard to ruin it. It's not really
going to ruin it.
Make it rusty.
It'd get rusty. If you use it frequently, then it probably won't be getting very rusty. At least not the face of the anvil. You could put oil on the outside of it, but no, it's not going to destroy the anvil, really. That's just steel. It's just metal.
And if you keep enough oil on it, like a lot of people, well, back in the day, blacksmith shops were all kind of out in the open air, and so it's like the steel's going to oxidize. But I guess as long as you keep enough oil on it, it's not going to have any.
Yeah,
adverse effect.
I was set up in a shack that snow blew into in the winter for like 8 years, and in the spring especially, we'd have like 40-degree temperature changes in a single day, and whenever that would happen, everything that was metal in the shop would be covered with water condensation, and everything would rust. And then in a few days, from using everything, or I just wipe it off real quick, it's fine. And I did that for a long time, so no, it's not going to ruin anything.
Just more maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for joining me. We should do this again sometime.
That was fun. Next time, let's have like a happy hour. Have a couple beers.
Missed opportunity.
Beers. Yeah.
Liam,
I was gonna say too that we're gonna be filming a Maker's Mob thing this Sunday.
Oh, sweet! What are you filming?
For the first time in 2 years.
Is this? It's a secret?
No, I just haven't told anyone.
Nice.
Maybe that means it's a secret. I don't know what I might make a integral punch dagger or something.
Cool.
I just know that my buddy's coming over Sunday, and we're gonna film something for Maker's Mob.
Sweet.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
If you guys want to get in on Maker's Mob, we got the Kamiko Challenge, like we said earlier. We have the full tutorials for Liam's axes and some other stuff in there you can get. Click the link in the description. Thank you guys for joining me on here, and we'll let you guys get back to your lives.
Good to see you, man. I look forward to receiving the handle in the mail.
You're such a con artist.
We're into this.
Hey, if you're too busy, I can make my own handle. But
okay,
it's up to you.
Guilt trip me.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Okay.
Wood Ninja out. Wood
All
Ninja
right.
out.
See you later.
See you guys.
See you, Adam.